cannot trust a weak male. And it plays itself out in the show because this guy betrays everybody in the show. You just have to understand human behavior. A weak male is going to say things and placate to people to make them feel better, even if what he's saying is dishonest. He wants to feel good by making someone else feel good, and he wants to be liked. So he goes for saying or doing whatever that thing is that's going to make him, he feels will get him liked at the time and will make him look better and, make the other person feel better so he can be liked. And so he does that placating behavior, but, it lacks honesty. So there's no integrity in what he's saying. You don't need to watch reality television to see instincts that are wired deep within our evolutionary past. And in this season of Big Brother, that just gives us a perfect case study. So this is Vince. He is your typical male in 2025, which he's a weak little bitch. I'm sure that the people who are on the show will never see this stream. I don't have that much reach. Apologies in advance because I'm going to criticize people I've never met before, but this is what I'm observing, okay, from a behavioral standpoint. And you could probably observe the same thing if you've seen any particular episode. So maybe these are human beings who are beyond the analysis I'm going to give for this show's purposes today. Not that what I'm saying isn't true, but there's probably other things true. So like this guy might be an all right guy. He seemed to have a decent enough personality. He seemed to have a good sense of humor. So he has like good qualities, right? I'm not trying to crap all over him, but he's a weak male. What it boils down to is he's a weak man. And you can watch that weakness play out in the show. He is the typical guy that 20-something girls go for. Skinny, weak, Temu ordered tattoos, just like, and that's like, I'm a guy with tattoos, but I've had them for a long time and I'm from a different generation and they have a different meaning than dudes who are just getting the tattoos to try to have a particular look. This dude's trying to sport a particular look that is a very common look for guys in their 20s to mid 30s. All right. And in the United States, and in just being a very weak man, being very weak emotionally, being very weak, just a low testosterone male. I got something about testosterone that's going to be coming up my next video, and I'll make that point a little bit more. But and women, unfortunately, are confused because there's not strong men. There's a shortage of strong, men with a positive masculine identity for them to gravitate towards. So these young girls end up dating this freaking guy. Okay. Guys who, and he's the typical profile. He lives with his parents. This is going to piss a lot of you guys off too. A lot of you guys who are in my audience, some of you are smart, intelligent. You have good things going for you, but your social game sucks because that intelligence takes you beyond the stupidity of the average person. And then you just haven't been able to get good dates, get women, navigate the social landscape as well as someone who's dumber than you. That's a reality. My friend Aaron Cleary wrote an interesting book about the curse of the high IQ. Some of you guys, I'm not saying you're genius level, but you're smarter than average and you have other things going for you. You see the bullshit that happens in most social situations, and it makes it difficult for you to navigate that. Some of you have focused on other things. You grew up in front of a screen, or you grew up differently, and you just don't have good social game. Your read on people sucks. Your and the ability for you to date sucks. Now, there's other guys who watch me and who hire me, who are great with women and great with social game, but there's usually missing pieces, and those missing pieces have caused like divorce or breakups or pain and hardship and all those things. So I get a mix of you guys. So some of you guys, this is going to very much annoy you because you have a lot going for you. You can't get a date. this guy is getting hoes. Okay, excuse me for saying. All right, but he's getting girls, and he's a weak male. He's a weak little male, okay, with a weak personality. Now, he could change that. He seems like a decent human being. He could change just like you could change if you're a weak male. He could change what he's doing. He has to get on a plan for himself to do that, though, because he lacks emotional self-control throughout the show. He lacks, and the thing about weak, or we could say beta males, okay, is you can't trust them. This is the problem. Never trust a weak male. I've given this advice to high level guys, guys who make a lot of money, who are very, dominant in their world. They influence a lot of people. They've come to me for coaching, and they're struggling with certain relationships with certain other males. You know what I mean? Business partners, usually hires, employees, stuff like that. And the advice I have for them is you cannot trust a weak male. And it plays itself out in the show because this guy betrays everybody in the show. He says, and why do I say that? It's not, you just have to understand human behavior. A weak male is going to say things and placate to people to make them feel better, even if what he's saying is dishonest. He wants to feel good by making someone else feel good, and he wants to be liked. So he goes for saying or doing whatever that thing is that's going to make him, he feels will get him liked at the time and will make him look better and, make the other person feel better so he can be liked. And so he does that placating behavior, but, it lacks honesty. So there's no integrity in what he's saying. So he would tell people, oh yeah, we're going to make it to the end. We'll be the final two. We'll be in an alliance, like I got your back. And then he'll say the same thing to somebody else, say the same thing to somebody else. He's not necessarily doing this stuff as like this grand strategy. He's just a weak male and he placates to people. And this is why you can't trust weak men, because they will placate to you to try to make you feel better rather than be honest with you and tell you the truth. It's okay to make somebody feel better and say nice things, but you have to be honest. You have to have integrity. And sometimes having integrity means telling somebody something they don't want to hear, which a weaker male will struggle to do. But then on the back end, they'll get frustrated and they'll get upset. They'll get angry. They'll get down on themselves. All kinds of things will happen. And then it'll be your responsibility as their friend or any girl who's dating that guy to try to, make him feel better. You see what I mean? And so this guy's, if someone like this, their relationships are often very strained because they're dishonest to the people that are in front of them because they're trying to placate to them, make them, and be liked versus be honest. And then they fall apart emotionally and it becomes the responsibility of others around them to pick them up. So that's very difficult to be friends with that person, let alone to date that person. So some of you guys listening, if I'm describing you, if you're the guy who's, a little bit low on the testosterone side because you're not eating right and exercising certain ways, you know what I mean? You're not executing dominance in your life and you're, got the, you got this particular look and you placate to everybody in your life and you're the super nice guy, right? Who's trying to make everybody feel better. Maybe I'm describing you. Girls will not trust your frame. You will fall apart. And this guy is getting girls in his life because girls who are under 35 years old today don't know what masculinity looks like. They respond to it. They're attracted to it. They're also afraid of it. And they end up dating this guy because so many guys out there are weak and terrible at game and terrible at communication. Women are struggling to find a good guy. Like they're struggling. And you got it. Most of my audience is men's, is guys. You have to know this. This is why now it's never been a better time than now if you're a single guy, to go out and date, meet girls, just be a normal person and execute, good communication strategies and strategies of seduction. You're going to do well in the dating market. It's never been a good time, there's never been a better time for it. And because there's just a shortage of guys out there. I mean, we could say there's a shortage of women out there too for different reasons, but I say that all the time. Okay, we know that. We know that Western women, blah blah, they're not good for relationships. A lot of them, right? That's true, right? That's very true. But we forget that there's a lot of guys. I mean, the reason why American women, Western women, women with, modern values tend to not be good relationship partners is because part of it is because men let them act that way. 80% of men are weak guys. If they're not, they're either overweight and out of shape or underweight and kind of weak. Okay. And they lack emotional self-control. They lack discipline, which means they lack honesty, integrity, and good communication skills. And so they let women walk all over their boundaries, and then they get frustrated and upset, and then they get toxic and abusive even sometimes. I mean, they're a fucking mess. And most of the guys out there are a fucking mess. So I talk about, because I'm talking to you guys who are trying to date women, and there's a lot of women that you really don't want to have in your life that are out there, right? So I'm critical about women today a lot of times, but that's because I'm not really helping as many women get dates with guys. I don't talk about the men as often, but the reality is most of you men out there are fucking poor choices for women. And that's why women act the way they do. The reason why women are rude, entitled, have zero accountability, often don't take care of their health, all of these, and terrible, and have terrible views on how to conduct a relationship, right? We could say blame it on feminism all you want, but the reality is you weak ass guys keep allowing for that and placating to these girls. That's why it's that way. If guys would stop putting up with it, they would stop doing that. You know what I mean? And then us, of course, all of the victim-minded guys want to say, well, if girls would act better, then we would act better. You know what I mean? Well, that's a victim-minded male. That's you're part of the problem if that's what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? You need to decide that you're not going to be a weak male. You're going to bring in a positive masculine identity with integrity, good communication skills, all those things. The ability to make a girl happy as well as tell a girl no if there's something that you don't want happening. The ability to be honest, right? Versus telling somebody what they want to hear. These are all qualities you need to start bringing to the table. That way you attract better women. You see what I mean? It's not 100% of the women out there that are terrible relationship ideas. It's maybe 70%. So it's a lot. Okay. Maybe 60, 70%. Certainly a lot. That would be a terrible choice for a long-term relationship. Terrible choice for dating. But there's still 30 to 40% that might be all right. That might be a good choice. And you need to be able to attract those and keep those. And it starts by having a strong masculine presence, which this guy does not demonstrate throughout the show. Again, people can change, so it's up to him, but that's not what he demonstrates. He's the typical guy that these typical young ass girls go for until they meet a guy with a strong masculine presence, and then they never go back. All right. So here's him. Here's him. This is really going to piss you guys off. His girlfriend was his ex-girlfriend, mind you, is pretty attractive. So this is what it is. You guys can't get dates, some of you who listen to me, right? You're in your own head and you can't talk to a girl and you're all fucked up. This guy who's a complete weak person, but is able to talk to people. He's able to go up to people and have a conversation or hold conversations socially, right? He doesn't get all anxious about it. What does he get? He gets a pretty girl. And this has been his girlfriend for 7 years until he fucked it up on the show by being a placating, we'll say simp. All right, as I'm looking for alternative words other than simp, but that is the popular term for women on the show. His simping behavior led to emotional cheating and got his ass dumped by his girlfriend of 7 years. Here's someone's going to piss you off too. This guy lives at home with his parents. She was living with him and his parents, and he was jobless or unemployed. No, so he's the typical guy. This is the typical guy in his guy in his 20s. He might be he's actually in his 30s, right? But the typical guy in his 20s has no direction, is living off of other people, and has no masculine, dominant, positive male presence. You know, he doesn't have leadership in his own life. You know, and these girls don't know, that's like who they're exposed to. They don't know who else to go for. They're afraid of the guy who's got his shit together, so they go for this guy. You know what I mean? But why do they go for this guy? Because he probably talked to her. That's why. It's literally that simple. And some of you guys are so fucked up here that you can't simply talk to a girl, have a conversation. Instead, you're dropping in DMs or sending pictures of your wiener and doing dumb stuff instead of having a normal conversation with a girl. Like, just mastering a normal conversation and not getting all anxious and getting weird on her, you get a hot girlfriend. That's how it works. If you come in with dominant masculine presence, dude, and you can have a good conversation, you have good game, you get hot girls. That's it. It's really that easy now. It's almost so easy that it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's just so easy nowadays. But to you, it may seem difficult because you're missing things. Most of that stuff you're missing is up here in your head. Now's a good time to plug the community, I guess. So if you're not doing well in the dating market, if you're not doing well in your relationships, or if you're doing pretty well and you want to just make those improvements, get in my community for free. The link is in the description of the video. Okay. We have discussions about dating, relationships, and having a positive masculine identity, and having goals and setting goals and killing it in life. I got guys who are absolutely killing it in life, doing very well. They live life on their own terms and not by everybody else's terms. And you can get into that community at no cost to you. All right. Many of the people in the community coach with me. They do paid programs. They do courses. But a start is just getting in the community and having conversations and getting support from other men. So if you're a guy and that sounds good, get there. Also, if you're new to this channel, would you just subscribe to the channel? I get 70% of my viewers are not subscribed at all. I am stagnant because YouTube unsubscribes people from my channel for whatever reason. I kind of have this weird algorithm problem, a little bit of a shadow ban. And so they just keep unsubscribing people, and people are not diligent about subscribing. Well, I can never make it to 50 or 100,000 subscribers if you guys don't help me out. All right. And I provide information that helps men out there do better. I do it in a way that's better than what the popular content creators are doing. Okay. It's just, I'm not a digital marketer. So, and I'm not saying things that are always YouTube friendly. So I don't get out there as much, and I won't get out there without your help. All right. We want to help guys be better men, have better results in life. It starts with your subscription. Okay, cool. Now back to the thing. So that'll piss you off. This dude does well. Here's his decent looking girlfriend of 7 years, living with his parents. Okay. No job, no direction, weak guy, low testosterone. All right. Placating to women and gets himself dumped. And we'll get into that. Here's another picture with his attractive girlfriend. This is the guy, skinny guy with his little hat. All right. You know, and again, he's probably a good guy, like in terms of his personality. He seems like he has a decent sense of humor. But once again, you can't trust a weak male. I would, if he was my friend, I wouldn't trust him. Because a weak male is not going to stand up for what's right if it doesn't benefit him, as he proves in the show. So he will a weak guy will stab you in the back, even if he's your best friend, when it benefits him. When his back's against the wall and he's weak, so his anxiety goes up, what happens? He might stab you in the back. He might not get your back. He might talk badly about you behind your back. You know what I mean? Maybe he's going to placate to girls, maybe, stuff like that, instead of getting, and if you were, maybe he's the kind of guy, if your girl would cheat with this guy for whatever reason, it would probably be a revenge cheat because she's mad at you. Yeah, like he might be the guy who would do that. Like, and he would say, I'm sure, if he was, defending himself, like, oh, I'd never do that. But really? Because you stabbed everybody in the back. We watched you do it, to include your girlfriend of 7 years who you basically emotionally cheated on. You see what I mean? You can't trust weak men. That's what it boils down to. And when you show weakness as a man, what you're showing is that you're not trustworthy. All right. It's better to be an asshole that people can trust rather than being a weak guy that is a nice guy that people think he's not an asshole, but they can't trust you. You know what I mean? Deep down within a girl's evolutionary cave woman brain, or as I like to say, monkey brain, she feels distrust when when men come around who are weak and who demonstrate that they're just low in terms of their standards and their emotional self-control. That it resonates on a deep level with them. It really does.